everyone, and welcome back to the Growth Diggers podcast. I'm Akanksha Das, Director of Marketing and Communications here at Growth Natives. Today's episode is for every marketer who's ever stared at their content calendar and thought, we're producing so much, but what's actually working? Because content isn't scarce anymore. Content is everywhere. And the real challenge in 2026 isn't creation, it's confusion. That's exactly what we're unpacking today. AI as the new content director, how B2B teams cut through content overload. And joining me is someone who sits right at the intersection of AI, enterprise marketing, and strategy. I'm thrilled to welcome Abeer Aulakh, Director of Marketing and Communications, DiGGrowth. Abeer, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Akanksha. It's great to be here. And honestly, I love this topic because it's something every B2B team is dealing with right now. We're creating more than ever, but clarity is harder than ever.
Let's start with the reality. I read this analogy recently. If content were a room, most B2B teams are living inside a hoarder house. There's a blog pile in the corner, webinar decks under the couch, podcast transcripts halfway down the stairs, and everyone's producing, but nobody knows what's moving the needle. Abeer, why do you think so many teams feel this overload?
Because output has become cheap. AI tools, freelancers, templates. It's never been easier to create content fast. But strategy didn't scale with it. So companies end up with more assets, more activity, more publishing, but not more direction.
And that's such a key point. The problem isn't that we can't create. The problem is we don't know what deserves attention. And the question that keeps coming up in every content meeting is, what should we publish next?
Exactly. And too often, the answer comes from opinions, or whatever the competitor posted last night, or whoever speaks the loudest in the room. That's content confusion.
Let's dig into that, because content overload isn't really about producing too much anymore. You can generate a blog, email, landing page, ad copy, social post, all in minutes. So the bottleneck isn't creation, it's direction.
Right? Output abundance doesn't equal strategic clarity. A lot of teams confuse motion with momentum. They're publishing constantly, but they're not building anything cohesive.
And that's where the stress comes in. You publish more to stay visible. You repurpose more to be everywhere. You chase topics because everyone's talking about them. And suddenly, you have a full content library, a full calendar, but an unpredictable funnel.
That unpredictability is the cost of confusion. You can't tell what's pulling weight. You don't know what messages are sticking. And decisions get made based on vibes, not evidence.
That's where AI enters the conversation differently now. Not as a copy intern, but almost as a content and communications director. A real director doesn't just say, make more content. They do 4 big jobs. Spot signal in the noise, protect the story, prioritize the right bets, align the machine across channels. Abeer, why is AI suddenly good at these director-level functions?
Because AI is built for pattern recognition at scale. Humans can't realistically scan 200 blogs, 50 campaigns, LinkedIn performance, buyer intent signals, CRM outcomes, but AI can. It can connect dots faster than any team meeting ever could.
So AI isn't replacing content teams, it's replacing content confusion. Let's make this real. One of the biggest roles AI can play is being a signal detective. Instead of saying, I think our audience likes this topic, AI can tell you, this topic is driving intent in segment A, but segment B is responding to something else. Abeer, what does that change inside a marketing org?
It changes decision making. You stop operating on assumptions. AI can show which topics drive pipeline, which formats convert, which messages get remembered, which narratives are declining. So instead of creating more, you create smarter.
That's such a snippet-worthy line. AI doesn't help you create more. It helps you create smarter. Can you give us an example of this in action? Like, what does signal detection look like in a real B2B company?
Sure. Let's say a SaaS company is producing content on AI automation. They have blogs, webinars, LinkedIn posts. AI can analyze performance and reveal something like blogs are getting traffic but no conversions. Webinars are driving demo requests. LinkedIn posts are resonating with mid level managers, not executives. That insight changes everything. Instead of let's write more blogs, the strategy becomes let's double down on webinars and executive messaging.
That's huge, because now content isn't random, it's guided. Another concept I love is zombie content. Every team has it. Content that looks alive, gets a little traffic, but contributes nothing to trust, pipeline, or positioning. Abeer, how does AI help here?
AI is great at auditing content libraries. It can flag redundant pieces, decaying performance, content that never moves buyers forward, assets that don't align with the narrative. And that's important because strategy isn't just adding, it's removing what doesn't deserve oxygen.
That's such a strong takeaway. Clarity isn't found by publishing more, it's found by cutting the noise. Most content strategies fail because they aren't strategies, they're collections. Random topics, random formats, random posting. How does AI help teams build an actual narrative spine?
AI can map content against buyer questions. It can show what prospects ask at awareness stage, what objections appear at consideration, what proof builds trust before purchase. So instead of disconnected assets, you get a sequence, a story, a POV moat.
That's communications direction. AI makes it visible. Another big shift is personalization because buyers don't want generic content anymore. How does AI help here?
AI helps teams tailor narratives by segment. For example, a CFO cares about cost and risk. A head of marketing cares about speed and pipeline. A product leader cares about integration. I can help adapt one core story into different angles without losing consistency. That's how you scale relevance.
So instead of one size fits all content, it becomes buyer specific storytelling. One of the most underrated leadership skills in content is saying no. Most backlogs are just landfills of maybe. AI changes planning into prioritization. How?
By scoring ideas, AI can evaluate topics against intent signals, market gaps, performance history, business objectives, effort versus projected impact. So your content backlog becomes a ranked roadmap, not chaos.
That's the shift from content overload to content intelligence. What changes culturally when AI starts directing content?
Meetings become clearer. Instead of debating endlessly, teams walk in with here are the top signals. Here's what to double down on. Here's what to stop producing. Here's the next smartest play. I doesn't replace the meeting, it removes the noise inside it.
And that protects creativity too.
Exactly. When strategy is clear, writers write better, designers design sharper, campaigns feel tighter, repurposing feels intentional. AI doesn't reduce creativity, it protects it from confusion.
Now we should be clear. AI is brilliant at synthesis, pattern recognition, prioritization, continuity, but it's not brilliant at taste, brand instinct, emotional edge.
Absolutely. I doesn't own cultural nuance. It doesn't know when to break the rules. The winning model is hybrid. AI handles signal and structure. Humans handle boldness and truth.
So to wrap up, content overload is the tax of modern marketing. We're producing more than ever. But cheap output without direction is just loudness. AI, as the new content and communications director, is the antidote. It spots the signal. It protects the narrative. It prioritizes what matters. It keeps your story coherent. So instead of asking, what should we make next? You finally ask the better question, what's the one story we're building this quarter? And what's the smartest way to tell it? Abeer, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Akanksha. This was a great conversation. And I think every B2B team listening should feel encouraged. Clarity is possible. I just helps you get there faster.
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. See you next time.